This is Reset. I'm Sasha Ann Simons. If you're just joining us, we're looking back on 2022 at some of the best things that happened to folks around Chicago. We are talking with Reset listener Margot McMahon, who's sharing her favorite thing from this year, which was publishing a book. So Margot, you're here. Let's get back to this book of yours. I want to know how you're feeling now that it's out. It's in the world.
It was just launched on Saturday at the Ukrainian Institute of Modern Art, and it was a kind of potluck gathering for the holiday.
Wow.
In that Aquarius Press published the book about my father's artwork that informed my writing. And in attendance was so much fun to get together with generations of my family, friends from all walks of my life. Painting is all the changes that took place with people coming together to be one voice, to enhance their own personal feelings. We had Hillary and Barack Obama debating. Mm-hmm. And that is the last artwork in the piece, in the exhibition.
That is what, and this book, it's called Resist, A Visual History of Protest. That's wonderful. I mean, how long did it take you to write?
Well, my father died in 2012, and he and I had started it then.
Okay.
So it was a little bit of oral history from him, but he was a man of few words, and a lot of research for me to fill in the gaps. So we started with World War II. He was in 3 POW camps in his early 20s, so that was kind of his training ground. And he really, for the rest of his life, he parachuted in to the Emmett Till trial in Sumner, Mississippi in 1955, the Chicago conspiracy trial in Chicago, and covered that with not only articles in newspapers and magazines, but he made a movie about that, which is at the Chicago Film Archives now.
Nice.
So we get an insider view and a feeling of what it was like to be there at that time.
That is wonderful, Margot. And it makes me think about how good it feels to sometimes look back and be like, wow, I've come a long way. Do you have that sense or that experience now finishing this most recent book of yours?
It was amazing to go through the process and unveil what I had lived through, but my parents had experienced. The 1960s, we were at the Michigan Avenue battle.
Yeah.
I was about 8 or 9 years old and walking down a hallway when my brother came running and said, "We gotta go." We ran out and Dad had the van there, the sliding door was open, we jumped in and the mace was already in the air. And so we experienced it, but then to understand what built up to that moment of over 4 or 5 days of extreme heat, police are overworked, the protesters are trying to be peaceful, but they're running into a lot of opposition. And to understand it historically and look back, which an 8 or 9-year-old couldn't understand, other than, oh my God, what's going on, and we did go home and watch it on TV, but all of it was so unbelievable. Only to understand it in hindsight could we truly know what happened then. Yeah. So it has been amazing to go through the process. And I will say, the sheltering in place gave me a lot of time to deep dive into a lot of subjects.
You gave us all a lot of time to do a lot of things and dabble. This is Reset. I'm Sasha Ann Simons. If you're just joining us, we're looking back on 2022 at some of the best things that happened to folks around Chicago. We are talking with Reset listener Margot McMahon, who's sharing her favorite thing from this year, which was publishing a book at the Ukrainian Institute of Art. What's the exhibition all about?
Well, the exhibition is artwork by my father that informed my writing.
Okay.
Like I said, he was a man of few words, so I started to interpret his paintings as an art historian and then write and which triggered the memories of little bits that he told me throughout my lifetime, and then build that out with research so that other people could understand how much went into painting these crowds that have gathered to be a louder voice for whatever their concern was.
And you've had a chance to go and see the exhibition?
The exhibition opened on Saturday.
Okay.
And it will be running until February 12th at the Ukrainian Institute of Modern Art. It's Chicago and Western.
What's that like for you, getting so many people now looking at your father's work?
It was amazing. Joe Burton and Gloria Groom wrote the introduction to it, but they were also really blown away by seeing it in the expansive gallery space of the Ukrainian Institute of Modern Art. Just to see it all together and to see it with each painting having a space of its own. What my father was so good at was showing the psychology of the individual within a mass of people who came to make a common voice, for a louder voice for whatever their concern was. And you got the feeling they left their children at home, they left their job that day, they really were focused on, if this doesn't happen, the world will not be right. And with that crowd creating direction, we have experienced in the last 50 years of this artwork things we couldn't have imagined. You know, of a female presidential candidate debating with a black man who is a presidential candidate, and both of them are excellent candidates. And that is what came through those 50 years, and we've come some distance since. But it takes the democracy and the republic of the people to make that change.
He tries to set this ambitious goal, like I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to conquer this massive project. Or do you sort of take it slow and whatever happens, happens?
Well, when I started this, it was, I just need to know what's happening, what has happened, what it was that I lived through, because I was going to school while most of these protests were being created in paint and distributed through magazines, film, and newspapers. So at first it was just a reveal. What happened, what is the history, what were they a part of, and what was their focus?
Right.
For both Mac and Irene, my parents. They both attended, they both grabbed interviews and made movies and captured those moments. And I think of it as a guide. Something that has happened. We can now, as gawkers, look at it like my father, who called himself an innocent bystander, and see how protest changes things.
Yeah.
And peaceful protest can.
So over time, it started to look more and more like, okay, this is a book, and this is going to be
exactly
one great book.
Yeah. Looking forward to time with my family this week. And also, I out of this writing, I've come up with another book that is more historical fiction, and it's looking at the 1850s, this remarkable time that's similar to ours, and how democracy was created, and the importance of people in making not only what their government would be after coming out of Europe. They could have come from anywhere, but this particular group is Irish Catholic from Northern Ireland, and they also in the 1850s was the suffragist movement. So the women are on the back porch talking suffragists, and the men are on the front porch talking finances and land ownership and what they have to do to run their tiny little settlement in the middle of the wilderness.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. But when I think about what I want to look forward to for 2023, I realize I haven't put a lot of thought into it just yet. I feel like I'm just kind of, I'm going, and I'm on this sort of hamster wheel where I just kind of, I deal with the next day and the next day. I don't know if you ever get caught up in those kinds of moments, but I think maybe what I would love to do is, because I'm on this travel thing lately, I want to go somewhere that I haven't been before. I've got a milestone birthday coming up next year, so maybe that would be a good time to do it. What do you think?
I would do it sooner.
You would do it sooner?
If you could find a window, because you could always do it at your birthday as well.
That's true.
But, you never know, because we're kind of traveling within windows of when we can, and hard telling what Omicron is going to turn into. So I would just, when you find an opening, go out there and see the world. It is still there. I have proof.
Is your book, you think, going to take you on some more travels?
Yes, I've had a lot of wonderful opportunities to talk about my writing at the Lake Forest Library, Winnetka Library, um, and my new writing is about the Adirondacks. So my husband and I went there Columbus Day weekend and hiked the areas that this settlement was.
Yeah.
And got to see stone foundations of the cabins that they lived in. And it was, and besides being spectacularly beautiful with the leaf change, it was really great to walk around and feel the history there.
That was Margot McMahon, artist and author of the new book, Resist, A Visual History of Protest. Thank you so much for joining us, Margot.
Thank you very much for being here. It's so nice to be with you.
Yeah.